Hello, Peter Galante here again with
Cassandra Coop.
and we're looking at motion blur pictures right now. We're going to show you some samples. Right now, we're recording the Photoshop screen on a PC. So if you don't have a PC, it might look a little different than this, but it's basically the same. So this is a pretty good example of using motion blur to create some energy and some interest in a picture. So here it is at some fair, and there's a fair ride, and if that's a sharp, in focus, crisp picture, it's not as exciting as when we put a little bit of motion blur in there. So in order to make the motion blur, the person slowed the shutter speed down to 1/6 of a second. So that's not that long of an exposure, but the ride is moving fast enough so that it blurs. Okay, let's go to the next picture, and we're talking about now looking at water. Now this is a classic example of water. So if the water is really sharp, it's not going to be very pretty. But when the motion of the water blurs it out, it becomes really lovely and smooth. And look at the way the surface of the pond is almost glassy because of the motion of the water. It smoothed it all out. So this picture it was a 5-second long picture. So that's quite long. Now, if you're going to take a picture this long, you're going to need a tripod. Now, so you're going to have to either get a tripod, borrow a tripod, or possibly just prop up your camera on a rock or something and try to shoot it. But this is a really good example of 5-second long exposure. Okay, let's go to the next one here, and we're looking at a record player. So here the person is photographing a record on a turntable, and literally this is also 5-second long, so that all of the detail on the record has blurred out and it's become this sort of abstract shape. And so that's another nice example. It's hard to tell that it's moving, but you would see the lettering on the record player if that were the case. Let's go to the next one here, and then this one is going to be, this is a street scene where cars are passing by, and so you see the car headlights and taillights become that streak. This picture is a 10-second long picture, and that's quite long, obviously, and you need to again have a tripod or your camera propped up for this example. Let's go to the next one. And this is sort of like the picture we saw of before with the motorcyclist passing by the building. So here's a skateboarder, and I think the photographer was on another skateboard, and they're paralleling each other so that the relative distance between the camera and the skateboarder remains the same, and the background blows out. Now, so it's completely blurred. So this is a really elegant picture, and I think it's a way of making a really busy background become simplified. So you have a really good foreground and background relationship. Figure-ground relationship is really what I wanted to say. And this is 1/8 of a second. So it's not that long of an exposure, but the amount of distance the skateboarders cover in 1/8 of a second is really what blows that out. So these are pretty good examples of what you have to do to create motion blur. Now we're gonna cut this and go to another video. We're gonna talk about opening your camera raw images really quickly, and we'll show you some examples there with motion blur. Right? Bye.